James and Mandy thought they found their dream home, but curiosity turned to dread when they stumbled upon a locked door concealed behind a vintage cabinet. As they dug deeper into the house's secrets and disturbing odors filled the air, they realized they were not alone. Subscribe to the unusual and stick around as the mystery unfolds. James and his wife Mandy were about to reach a significant milestone: home ownership. After years of saving, they finally had enough money to purchase what they considered their forever home. The house was spacious and had a backyard, ideal for their future children. However, they would soon discover that their dream home was haunted by unsettling secrets. James and Mandy Fisher celebrated their 5th wedding anniversary just before acquiring their new residence in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, along with their dog, Scout. The search for the perfect house had been exhausting, but ultimately rewarding, filled with excitement and anticipation for what was to come. When they toured the interior for the first time, Mandy couldn't contain her excitement, though this joy would soon turn to unease. On moving day, James and Mandy busied themselves with packing up their rented apartment, thrilled to leave it behind. They had only a few boxes of belongings but were eager to fill their new home with cherished items, transforming it into a sanctuary they could call their own. As they stepped inside, they were taken aback by the expansive space. The 2-story house featured all the bedrooms on the upper floor, while the main level contained the kitchen, living room, and a home office. Mandy was particularly excited about the spacious kitchen, perfect for preparing their favorite meals. Then something unusual caught her eye. There was a concealed panel in the kitchen floor that she hadn't noticed during their initial visit. It appeared to be locked and piqued her curiosity. She shared her discovery with James, and they decided to unlock it together to see what lay beneath the kitchen tiles. While rummaging through a vintage cabinet left by the previous owner, Mandy found something that startled Scout, causing him to snarl. The realtor had mentioned that the house once belonged to an elderly woman with no children to inherit it. Although the cabinet was charming, Mandy felt it needed a fresh coat of varnish. As she moved it slightly, she uncovered a locked door behind it, raising questions about why it was hidden. Determined to solve the mystery, she spent the following weeks searching for the key. Despite searching through drawers and cabinets, she found nothing. As they settled into their new home, their planned renovations were put on hold due to the cold weather. It was during this time that the unsettling dreams began. After a long day of unpacking, James and Mandy finally relaxed in their new space, the snow falling softly outside. To warm up their bedroom, James turned on the heating system. As they snuggled in, Mandy picked up a book, but soon a foul odor disrupted their peace, forcing them to leave the room. To combat the smell, Mandy grabbed air fresheners from the kitchen, but it was clear that they couldn't sleep in their room that night. Confused by the source of the odor, they moved to another bedroom. However, as soon as they settled in, Scout refused to enter the room. Once they were comfortable again, the unpleasant smell returned, even stronger than before. The next day, James realized the challenge ahead of him. The odor seemed to activate whenever the heating system was in use, affecting both the main and guest bedrooms. Determined to uncover the cause, he turned on the heat in one of the untouched rooms. To his dismay, the entire house was affected. He contemplated tearing apart the house to find the source, but suspected something more sinister was at play. It became clear that he needed to inspect all the vents. Each room had a vent, so he methodically unscrewed each one, shining a flashlight inside. In the primary bedroom, he found nothing unusual. However, he soon discovered that the living room was missing a vent. Puzzled, he realized he might be in over his head and would need professional help. Just as he was about to close the final vent in the home office, he noticed a shiny object inside. Reaching in, he pulled out a silver key. Excited, James presented the key to Mandy, who immediately recognized it as the key to the locked door behind the vintage cabinet in the kitchen. With anticipation, they unlocked the door, revealing a dark basement. Before they descended, Scout began barking furiously in the living room. James rushed to calm him down, but Scout continued to bark at a corner of the room. With a flashlight in hand, James and Mandy descended the basement stairs, curiosity guiding them. The basement was dusty and dim, filled with antique furniture, wooden chests, and framed pictures. They began to explore, with Mandy checking the chests and James inspecting the images. Most of the chests were empty, leaving Mandy to wonder what the elderly woman had stored there. As they continued searching, Mandy recalled the locked hatch in the kitchen. Perhaps the key they found would unlock further secrets. James searched the basement until he spotted something shiny in the dim light. It was an old crowbar which they used to pry open the trapdoor. Inside, they found jars that seemed to contain preserved food and a box filled with vintage recipes. Scout resumed his growling, heightening their unease. The basement had an eerie atmosphere, and they were reminded of something from an old Victorian kitchen. The storage space showed signs of age and neglect, but they were more intrigued by the parchment scroll they discovered. Unrolling it, they were astonished to find the original house sketches, dated back to 1887. They quickly repacked their findings and decided to examine them later after dinner. However, a sense of unease crept over them as they contemplated their discoveries. While Mandy prepared dinner, she couldn't shake the feeling that they were uncovering secrets not disclosed by the realtor. Doubts began to plague her about their decision to buy the house. As she set the table, a distressing yowl from Scout startled her. They had never seen him act in such a way before, and anxiety gripped Mandy. She abandoned her task to investigate, but just as she was about to leave the kitchen, the foul odor returned. Confused, she asked James if he had turned on the heating again, but he shook his head in denial. He had just come out of the shower and hadn't activated it. They decided to contact the realtor for answers, unsure if they would reach her at this hour. When she answered, she assured them that the heating system was new and the house had been thoroughly cleaned. They found the documentation in the kitchen cupboard, confirming that everything was in order. Yet this did not solve the mystery of the lingering smell. James and Mandy exchanged anxious glances, their thoughts drifting to horror movies where paranormal events plagued homeowners. But this was not a film. There had to be another explanation. Feeling uneasy in the kitchen, they moved to the dining room, where the smell was somewhat more bearable. However, the odor made it nearly impossible to enjoy their meal. Frustrated, James slammed his fist on the table. "I have to figure this out," he declared. Mandy suggested they tackle it the next day and finish dinner, but the unsettling atmosphere made sleep difficult. They were disheartened, their minds racing with unanswered questions. Even Scout seemed distressed. James comforted Mandy, assuring her that they would find a solution. In the early hours of the morning, Mandy awoke to find James missing from their bed. Quietly, she crept downstairs, dreading what she might discover. Instead, she found James, obsessively trying to mask the odor with air fresheners. Morning came, but restful sleep remained elusive. The state of their new home filled them with regret. Noticing the troubled expression on Mandy's face, James decided to distract her. They moved to the living room, where he lit the fireplace, filling the space with warmth. To take their minds off their troubles, they brought out the mysterious box from the basement. As they examined the house plans, they uncovered something that made Mandy's stomach churn. Comparing the old blueprints to the ones provided by the realtor, they noticed significant discrepancies. Scout began barking uncontrollably again, raising alarm bells for the couple. James decided to investigate the source of Scout's anxiety. He moved the carpet, revealing yet another vent, this one not listed on the recent blueprints. Growing increasingly concerned, James remembered the key he found in the previous vent. Perhaps this vent held more secrets. He examined it closely, noting that it was rusted shut. Desperate to open it, he chipped away at the rust, even resorting to using a blowtorch while Mandy looked on nervously from the couch. The situation had begun to take a toll on James's sanity, and the smell of burnt rust filled the air. When he finally reached a breaking point, exhausted and defeated, he dropped his tools. Mandy placed a gentle hand on his shoulder, offering comfort. "It's all right," she said softly. Defeated, James accepted that they needed to call in professionals. The thought of spending another sleepless night in their home, with the mystery unresolved, sent shivers down their spines. That night, Mandy stirred from her sleep, only to find James absent from their bed again. Without a doubt, she knew where he was. There he was, staring obsessively into the vent once more. Slowly, Mandy tiptoed to his side and gently guided him back to the safety of their bed, deciding that the madness had to cease, and soon. True to his word, James rang up the professionals the very next morning. They needed to determine if the vent was empty or if it concealed something sinister, like a pest infestation or even a deceased animal. Within 30 minutes, the team arrived, fully armed and ready to force open the steadfast vent. Finally prying it open, they encountered a shocking revelation that stopped their hearts in horror. They discovered a multitude of containers filled with rank fluids, and alarmingly, various animal remains and bones strewn about. James and Mandy were uncomfortable. It was apparent the jars were the source of the smell, and the sight had caused Scout to bark. Mandy began to ponder if their home had been a site for unusual practices, causing her to question their decision to continue living there. However, the repairman told them it was far from unique. He relayed how he and his crew discovered such things routinely in the older Victorian homes. It was an old practice of Pennsylvania, known as powwow, which involved usage of animal remains for a type of traditional healing. It seemed that the previous inhabitant sought healing and had practiced this tradition. Mandy and James settled on the decision to remove the jars and animal remains to eliminate the unpleasant odor and resume their regular lives, ensuring Scout remains undisturbed in his new home. As the team worked to clear out the jars, Mandy felt a mix of relief and anxiety. They took the time to discuss the implications of their findings. James expressed concern about what other secrets the house might hold. With each jar removed, they wondered if they would uncover more unsettling discoveries. Once the cleanup was complete, James and Mandy took a moment to breathe. The house felt lighter, less oppressive. They decided to take a break from the stress of the last few days and went for a walk with Scout in the nearby park. The fresh air and sunshine did wonders for their spirits, allowing them to reconnect with each other and their dog. Returning home, they found that the unpleasant smell had dissipated, replaced by a sense of normalcy. They sat in the living room, grateful to have resolved the immediate issues. However, the memory of their discoveries lingered in the back of their minds. Would they ever fully feel at ease in their new home? As the weeks went by, James and Mandy settled into a routine. They focused on making the house their own, painting walls and arranging furniture. Yet every now and then, they would catch a glimpse of the vintage cabinet in the kitchen and remember the mystery that had initially excited them. Mandy decided to refurbish the cabinet, giving it a new finish that matched their decor. As she worked, she contemplated the stories the house held and the lives it had witnessed. They had made the right choice in buying it, despite the unsettling start. The couple discovered that the charm of their home lay not just in its structure, but in its history. They began to embrace the quirks of their house, even the creaks and groans that came with age. Each sound felt like a whisper from the past, a reminder of the lives that had come before them. One evening, as they settled in for a movie night, Scout curled up at their feet, content and at peace. The warmth of the fireplace crackled in the background, and they exchanged smiles, feeling a sense of belonging. They realized that every home has its secrets, but it was their love and commitment to each other that transformed this house into a true home. In the end, James and Mandy found solace in their journey. They had faced the unknown and emerged stronger, ready to create their own memories in a house rich with stories. They knew that whatever challenges lay ahead, they would face them together, hand in hand, as they built a life filled with love and laughter. Thank you for watching. If you found this story intriguing, don't forget to like, subscribe, and tap the notification bell to stay updated on our next fascinating tale.